Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career with a little self-help around the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope that what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. This mini episode is about forgiveness. I recently have been going back to church more frequently, and I've actually actively took a role in reading at church, which I really enjoy. I really enjoy participating in Mass. But the scripture today was about forgiveness. In particular, it was a story about how a king had a servant that had debt to him, and when the king asked for the servant to repay that debt, the servant begged and begged and begged, and that king forgave that man of his debt and said, "Okay, I forgive you. Your debt is clean." And as soon as that servant left, he went up to another person that owed him money and said, "Where's my money?" And the other guy said to him, "I can't pay you. Please forgive me." And that guy beat him really bad. And so the king heard about this, brought that first servant back and said, I forgave you, and you could not model that and forgive the other person. And I'm really disappointed. And thus the guy was tortured and et cetera, et cetera. And so that really struck home with me, is because oftentimes we as human beings, say, "Hey, my bad. I made a mistake. I'm sorry." And we expect others to forgive us after we own up to our mistakes. But how often when someone owns up to us for their mistakes do we hold a grudge or hold on to the wrongs that they did us? And I quite honestly, I take things really personal. I wouldn't say I hold grudges, but I overthink. And sometimes I wonder if someone truly has forgiven me, and more in a sense of not, I'm pretty forgiving, I'd say, but I'm over obsessing that whether, even after I've owned up to something, whether that person has forgiven me. And I think what I'm trying to say is that have the empathy on both sides. If someone comes to you truly remorseful, truly sorry, give them a chance or forgive them. And on the flip side, if you're really, have wronged someone else, be honest and ask for that person's forgiveness. I would say the only caveat to that is for both sides, if you're truly forgiven, don't do the same mistake twice. If you truly forgive someone and give them an honest welcoming back, don't let that person continuously, hurt you. You still can forgive someone else, but also create distance from that person. Doesn't mean you hold on to a grudge when you create distance. It just means that you've let that person moved on with their life and you've moved on with yours. But I think in a matter of forgiveness, I just want to give not a shout out, but if there's anyone out there in the world that I've wronged, this is, if you listen to this podcast, I'd like to say I'm sorry. I apologize for that, and I'm honestly working to be a better person. And if there's anyone out there that feels like they wrong someone else, I encourage you just to own up to that, and hopefully that person that you ask for forgiveness welcomes you back with open arms. But this mini episode is about friendship. I love each and every one of you. I thank each and every one of you for being a listener of the podcast. I really appreciate everyone's support. Please leave questions. I'll insert a link for a question form. We're going to do a Q&A episode sometime in the future, Hillard and I. So just leave your questions for the podcast, or use the hashtag #AskPositivePhilter. Share this mini episode, or share any old episode with a family member or friends. That is a real way that you can show support of this podcast, to let me know that you're supporting what I'm trying to do, or what this podcast is all about. I love you all. I appreciate every y'all. Have a good day.